Hello and welcome to another breakout session. This is breakout session number 62. This is going to be a short one today because it's kind of a continuation on some other ones that I've already done. But first I want to say hello to all the members of the Guitar League out there around the country that might be watching. And I would ask you or anybody else that's watching if you'd please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the little bell and also give me a like if you like what you see. I really appreciate it. Okay, so first I want to say a little bit about this guitar that I'm holding. Okay, this guitar belongs to a Guitar League member, friend of mine. And he asked me to take a look at this guitar because this is a 50th anniversary, by the way, American Stratocaster. It's gorgeous. But he was having a problem with it. Electronically with the switch, it would cut out in between pickups, or it would go from one to another all by itself. It was just erratic, wasn't working correctly. So I did a lot of things to this guitar. When I got it, the action was way up, the tremolo was sitting up on its side, the fretboard was so dried out that the frets were all sharp because the fretboard was shrinking, but the frets weren't. So I did a lot of work to it. I rehydrated the neck. As you can see, it's now a beautiful rosewood neck. And I leveled the frets, and I put new strings on it, and I raised the pickups, and I lowered the tremolo, and did the action, set the intonation. Oh, and by the way, I believe I fixed the problem with the pickups. Actually, the problem was that the cable jack had turned so that you weren't really getting the cable all the way into the jack. It felt really stiff. I thought that was kind of weird. So yeah, it had turned, and the little arm in the jack was up against the wood on the side, and you couldn't plug it in properly. So I repositioned that, and so far it hasn't been cutting out on me. I thought I'd use it today just to keep demonstrating it, or keep checking it, make sure I fix the original problem that he brought it in for. Okay, so today I want to finish up on, I'm calling this paint by numbers. You know, I'm a big proponent of learning the names of all the notes on the fretboard. And also, you need to know that so you know where the root notes are of different voicings of chords or whatever, okay? Or where scales are. And then we also, we talk about the cage system all the time, which is a series of chord shapes that make up the cage system, and it's very important. So this is a continuation. Breakout session number 55, I did a really big thing. I called it Ed Caged, where I was showing you all the cage shapes and where the chord tones were within each one of those shapes. So you also need to know what a chord tone is and what makes up a chord. You know, like a 1, a 3, and a 5 in a major chord, a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7, and a major 7 chord, a 1, a 3, a 5, and a flat 7, and a dominant 7 chord, and so on. So that's all in breakout session number 38. I explain all of that. So if you can go back and look at breakout session number 55, number 56, it would be a big help. Number 38. Those would all help explain what we're doing. But today I just wanted to take a short little trip further down this line, okay? I want you to memorize all the notes on the fretboard. I also want you to learn all the numbers of the notes within the chord tones. But those, you're not, I want you to just have it in your brain and in your fingers. You're not going to be thinking about that when you're actually playing. You're not thinking about what numbers they are or what note names they are. But if you learn them, and if you learn where they are within the shape, it will help you dramatically. So we're just going to take 3 shapes today, and we're going to focus on those three shapes, which then can be moved all over the fretboard, and you can play just about in any key. So we're going to take an A shape, an E shape, an A shape, and we're going to take a C shape. And those are the three shapes we're going to talk about. Let's move it on up to the key of G. And we're going to play a G with an E shape. And hopefully if you go back and look at what I'm talking about in those other videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. And you'll know that in this shape, the chord tones, there's a 1, a 5, a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 1 in that shape. In anywhere on the fretboard, it has those same numbers, and those are all chord tones. The root note, the major third, and the fifth, those are all color tones to a major chord, okay? So if we took that E shape and we learned that underneath that we've got a 1, a 5, a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 1 all the time. We know that those were there. Also underneath those shapes lies the scales are underneath those shapes too. Pentatonic scales, major scales, all the modes, they're all underneath the shapes. Okay? So if we, and in the key of G, if we were playing something with a 1, 4, 5 progression, it would be a G, a C, and a D. Okay? So, but if we looked at it like this, if we memorized where all the chord tones were in a E-shaped chord, and then we memorized where all the chord tones were in the A-shaped chord, which is now the A shape, it's a C chord. So you got a 1, a 5, a 1, a 3, and a 5. Okay? But the point is, those are chord tones. So if you were playing over the G, you could play the chord tones from that chord. If it went to the C, you could be playing those chord tones. And when it went to the D, you could play a C-shaped D chord, like, you know, it's like this. It's a C-shaped D chord, but you'd have a 1, a 3, a 5, a 1, and a 3. So if you could get used to knowing where those chord tones are in those shapes, then you can play along with the music, or you could, even if somebody else isn't playing behind you, you can sound really more musical because you're using the notes from the chord. So that's really all I wanted to get across to you today is I want you to learn, go back and look at 55, breakout session number 55, so that you can learn where the chord tones are in the different shapes. Okay, learn those three shapes. Then, if you put that, you started up here and did it in A with those same shapes, you'd know exactly where they are, right? So you'd know right where they are. So that's kind of all I wanted to get across to you today. So learn where the chord tones are, but then after you've learned that, you don't need to think about it because you'll know that under this shape, you know where the chord tones are. Under this shape, you know where the chord tones are. And under this shape, you know where the chord tones are. You're going to thank me later if you do this, if you spend some time on this. And I'm trying to make it easy. All you got to do is spend some time in one place and get that down. just those 3 chords, that's going to be, you're going to use that in most songs. If you could get away with just using those 3 shapes. I mean, we have the other shapes, you know, we have the G-shaped ones, you know, we have a, you know, G-shaped C chords and all the other stuff, but we're not getting into that yet. We're sticking with just 3 shapes: the E shape, the A shape, and the C shape, learning where the chord tones are under those shapes. So when you see that shape, wherever it is, you know where the chord tones are, and you're not going to hit a bad note if you do that. Okay, and you can always like slide up into that note and stuff too, you know, or slide down into it. But that's another lesson. But this is going to be a short one today. So far, I'm liking that. This is a beautiful guitar, by the way. And I haven't had any electrical problems with it at all since I fixed it. And it plays so much better. The action was so high on this, and it was so dried out. So hopefully he'll be very happy when he gets it back. Okay, so that's it today. Just a short one. Learn the chord tones in the E shape, the A shape, and the C shape. You're going to thank me later. Talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye.